and Reverend Kathy Fernandes. If you're looking for the bar mitzvah, it's down the street. There's also a wedding around the corner somewhere. I think you're in the right spot if this is where you plan to be. I'm Dr. Johnny Samples. I'm the board president for the Chico. Well, I'm not even going to say that right now. I'll come back to that in a couple of minutes. And I'll tell you why in a couple of minutes. I've been the board president for a number of years now, and someone told me one time it was indentured servitude, and I'm beginning to believe that. However, this has been a true joy, and tonight is an especially special joy to do this. And I see a lot of faces I recognize. I see a lot of people from our congregation. I see some new faces. So I'd like to just spend a minute to explain how we got here tonight and what we're doing and why we're doing it. How we got here is that with the Centers for Spiritual Living, when a minister retires or a minister moves on and goes someplace else, we have sort of a special process that we go through to identify the next person. It isn't one of those where we say, oh, well, you're a minister, you do it. It isn't like that. We go through a process, and our congregation has done that. This has been almost a year for us to go through this process. So for those of you that don't remember exactly what we did, or you're new to this, let me give a little bit of explanation. We had a interim minister, Susie Shadle was here, and Susie walked us through not only looking at who we are now, but how much we've grown. We have grown a lot since our previous minister and the wonderful founding minister. So now the minister that we're calling forth and asking to come here may be different from the one that we had 7 or 8 years ago or 38 or so years ago. So we're looking for something new, someone new. So in the process of doing that, Susie walked us through who we were, and then Reverend Penny Masick came along and said, okay, we're going to spend a few days with the leadership to talk about what you're really looking for. So we did a thing, just so that you know, called the co-creation process. And we went through this process to identify a couple of things. One, who we needed to call forth to be our new minister or ministers. What did that look like? We also looked at a word of purpose. Who are we? After we got through this process, we all boiled it down to first a statement, a declaration, but then also one single word. And just as a reminder for all of us, that one single word was unity. So when we look at that, we've done more with unity than we expected to do. And that's why I said, I'm not going to say which center we are, because when we started, you might have been coming to the Chico New Thought Center. However, as we worked through our unity, we combined with Greater Chico. And now we sort of look at ourselves as the Center for Spiritual Living Chico. We have unified, folks. This is unity. This is what we ask for. This is what we have. Now, in that process that I talked about, we created a sacred covenant. And in that sacred covenant, we ask these people, or this person, to come forth just as we described them. So I'm going to remind you what we said we wanted. And see if you kind of feel like maybe we hit the mark, because I believe we did. There is only one life. This life is good. This life is God. This life is my life now. In knowing that I am one with this life that is God, I therefore know that I am one with all of its blessed expressions, which includes the presence of a new minister for my beloved spiritual community. Because I know that the highest purpose of my new minister is to glorify God, I therefore know that my new minister is a revelation of God as unity. I further know that my new minister is the fulfillment of that which has been promised by God, for it is written, I am that which thou art that which I am. As I stand in agreement with my beloved community, I see my new minister, I'm going to put parentheses ministers, revealed before me as empowering compassion, connection, and growth. I now intend to experience my new minister in full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing this truth about myself for these principles. I am centered in spirit, grounded in principle. I am awakening to wisdom within me through passionate and skillful teaching. I am applying spiritual principles through collaborative leadership to meet the needs of the community. I am modeling and cultivating engagement in community service opportunities. I am teaching and facilitating mystical studies, guiding us into a deeper knowingness of the holiness within. As I now accept the highest expression of a new ministers into my life, I know that it is revealed in a way that glorifies God and serves the highest and greatest good for all who are touched by their presence. I am grateful God is gracious. Amen. That's what we said for several months. And folks, that's what we got. So tonight it is my pleasure to welcome you to our installation for our two new ministers. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to our first wonderful, you have not heard Rod Loomis. You need to do that.
Most of that, please. In this very room, there's quite enough love for one like me. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for one like me. And there's quite enough faith and quite enough power to chase away any gloom. For spirit, sweet spirit, is in this very room. In this very room, there's quite enough love for all of us. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for all of us. And there's quite enough faith and quite enough power to chase away any gloom. For spirit, sweet spirit, is in this very room. And in this very room, there's quite enough love for all the world. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for all the world. And there's quite enough faith and quite enough power to chase away any gloom. For spirit, God's spirit, is in this very room. in this very room, this very room. And so it is.
And so it is, Rod. Thank you. That's one of Louie's favorites. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is Carolyn McEwen-Fish, and I'm here to do the opening prayer treatment. So will you please join with me? And indeed, in this very room, there is enough love for all of us, for everyone, everywhere, because that's what God is. That universal power, the source of all being, the divine intelligence and loving spirit that knows only itself as love and reveals itself through each one of us. And tonight, in this unification process, the installation of these two ministers who have answered the call of the next What's to Be for the Chico Center for Spiritual Living. And I know that these two have been imbued with the intelligence, the compassion, the courage, and all that it takes to minister in such a way that spiritual growth happens, and so does healing of the individuals who come here. And so this indeed is a special occasion. It's the beginning of something new and something better and something greater than has ever happened before. And with the power of this infinite being, nothing can stop the growth and development of this center as a tower of strength, a place of wholeness, where lives can be lived in the fullness of that infinite beauty that is God. And so I give thanks that this happening is the beginning of the newness and the unity that brings together all the souls who belong together so that the glory of God may be made manifest. And I give thanks for this truth that is known and demonstrated. And I release them into that universal law and let them be right here, right now, as we say together. And so it is.
This evening, as you watched a procession of robed and garbed people, you might have wondered who some of them were. I recognize some of the faces and some of them are new to me, so I'm delighted to see all of you here. Thank you. What we do in our centers is when we have an installation like this, we invite the folks from around. Part of it is for them to get to know who we are and the new ministers, but it's for us to get to know them and hopefully to eventually share and do some things between different areas. So we're delighted to have some all faces and new faces back today. So tonight I'm going to introduce those folks to you, and if you would just stand when I call your name, that you'll get a chance to see who they are. First, our Assistant Minister, Reverend Lisa Carson. Would you stand? And I know we all want to applaud, but would you hold that till the very end and then we give a big applause? And of course, Dr. Reverend Carolyn McKeown-Fish, who is one of our founding ministers, who is a very special person to all of us. Reverend Terry Lurch, who is also here at Chico, who we really appreciate. Reverend Karen Sill in Monterey, and it's good to see you. Reverend David Robinson from Reading. I got to meet Reverend David a couple years ago. It's nice to see you. Reverend Lanny Howard from Sierra Center for Spiritual Living, Grass Valley. Thank you for being here. Reverend Eileen Brownell. I saw you a minute ago. There you are. Christ-like Ministry. And we all know Reverend Eileen. She's been here a number of times to talk with us. Reverend Dottie Page, spiritual leader, Oroville Center for Spiritual Living. Thank you for being here. Reverend Palmquist. And you're going to have to tell me how to say your first name. Charmaine. I thought so, but I didn't want to mess it up. So Reverend Charmaine Palmquist is from the Center for Spiritual Living, Oroville. Thank you very much for being here. Reverend Andy Torkelson. There you go. CSL Minutes Paradise Minister. Glad you're here, Andy. Reverend Dr. Candace Beckett. Thank you for being here. From Ukiah. And our very special guests for this evening, we have Reverend Dr. Deborah Gordon. And it's a pleasure to have you here. And she's the Senior Minister, Center for Spiritual Living, Kelowna? Kelowna, BC, Canada. I knew I was going to get that idea. And Reverend Dr. Ken Gordon. We are absolutely delighted to have you here. Spiritual leader for our Centers for Spiritual Living International. And Reverend Ken does an awful lot of work formerly with John Waterhouse, but now here doing all of this himself, and we are delighted that you're here today. And of course, our two honorees for the evening, Reverend Kathy Fernandes and Reverend Michael Benson. So if you will all stand. And it is our honor to have all of you here this evening. Thank you very much for being here.
Good evening. The choir is delighted to be able to sing for such a wonderful occasion. We're featuring Darren Wilson tonight as our soloist. He's got just the perfect voice for this piece. But also, this particular song I selected when we moved back into Hillary in 2011. I wasn't around at that time when your center was here, but it's called "This Is Your House" by Randy Phillips, and so we are repeating it again for this special occasion this evening, accompanied by our wonderful Dr. Carla.
Let your glory fill this sanctuary. Be enthroned on the praises of your people. Spirit, we agree in unity.
This is your house.
This is your house.
Spirit dwells within.
Dwells within.
This is your house.
This is your house.
A holy house of prayer, where the lost and the lonely bring their burdens and their cares. This is your house.
This is your house.
Where joy abounds. Come and dwell.
Holy Spirit, overflow this place. Decorate our walls with grace and mercy. Let healing and celebration find searching soul. God, have your way. We joyfully pray.
This is your house.
This is your house.
Spirit dwells
Dwells
within.
within.
This is your house.
This is your house.
A holy house of prayer, where the lost and the lonely bring their burdens and their cares. This is your house.
This is your house.
Where joy abounds. This is your house.
This is your house, God.
Spirit dwells and
Come
dwells.
and dwell here.
This is your house.
Yes, it is.
A holy house of prayer, where the lost and the lonely bring their burdens and their cares.
Oh, God, hear our prayer.
This is your house,
This is your house.
where joy abounds.
Come and dwell here. Oh, come and dwell.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Ken Gordon. I'm the spiritual leader for Centers for Spiritual Living, and it is such an honor and a joy to be here for this occasion, especially for this occasion. This one counts. They all count, but this one's kind of special for me. You know, I had the opportunity to meet these two ministers probably back in the mid-90s. When Deborah and I first began to get into religious science, we became ministers in 1993. And there were a group of people that always showed up at all of the Asilomar conferences that you couldn't help but notice, and they were the little groupies that hung out with Dr. Caroline. And I can remember thinking at that that time, because we founded a church in Kelowna, British Columbia, and I can remember thinking at that time as it was growing, that I wanted to grow up to have students like Dr. Carolyn. I remember looking at these people and they were so dedicated, they believed in service to God, they believed in service to their center, and I watched them develop and grow and enter into ministry, and they were remarkable people, every one of them, and there's several of them that came from that class that are here present today. They were a magnificent group of people, and I always coveted them, no matter what. And so just let you know, you've got 2 of them now, so congratulations. That, but you also, I am so proud of you, and I'm proud of you as the spiritual leader for Centers for Spiritual Living. And there's maybe 250,000 to 500,000 people that are members of choice of that particular organization, which I happen to be honored to be the spiritual leader of. And what I'm proud of you for doing is integrating the 2 churches, for unifying and choosing unity as your word, as your God word to be able to put forward, and actually going through the effort that it entails in order to bring it together. Now, believe me, I know that there are several people here, Dr. Candace and myself specifically, who know a great deal about that because we integrated 2 organizations in 2012. Actually, between about 2003 and 2012, which is how long it took. And believe me, I've been integrating ever since 2012 to today, and I'm still integrating. So, but I'll share with you what a magnificent thing it is to be able to model our teaching and a way to be able to represent it and present it. It's a wonderful modeling, not because there was something broken previously in the 2 organizations, but because it demonstrates the unity of life itself, and it demonstrates our ability to be able to model it in the world and to take it out there. So give yourself an applause. You're doing great work. So now let's get down to it. As spiritual leader for Centers for Spiritual Living, it's my honor to preside over this important moment for this community. Ernest Holmes, with his vision and through his writing, lit the torch of religious science. And those who have carried it since believe in the same principles that we've declared as our own today, as we are going to have read here shortly. They knew, as we know, that those principles are impersonal and they are universal, and that they work for all without exception. And they know, as we know, that the power of the universe responds to the faith of all, regardless of the name by which that faith may be known or of the organization to which it belongs. God's no respecter of labels, and religious science does not own the corner on truth. I hope that doesn't shock you. But we know, too, that an illuminated consciousness, a trained mind, and an open heart together create the greatest avenue through which the universal power can flow. So there is good reason to celebrate today the installation of those leaders who carried the torch and declare the principles, as well as illumine consciousness, train the minds, and open the hearts of those who come and apply the science of mind to their lives. On the larger, more impersonal level, this center is the natural outcome of the consciousness of men and women far removed from this place and this evening. It is even more than that. This center is, in fact, nothing less than the culmination of a divine idea in the mind of God. And on a more intimate level, it's the direct result of an idea in the minds of those who have dreamt it, established it, nurtured it, and grew it. Those who have been willing to be its heads, its hearts, its hands, and its feet. And we're so fortunate here tonight to have the founder of this particular center, which is Reverend Dr. Carolyn McEwen-Fish. And we honor her and her leadership that served this community and carried forth in mind and informed this center for spiritual living, so that we may all be here tonight carrying on this tradition and this wonderful example of the teaching that will awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence and help us create a world that works for all. Today, we install another generation of leadership, those who, by their willingness, will add to this already vibrant growth and expansion of this very center right here. So ministers, board of trustees, licensed practitioners, congregation, and friends, we are indeed gathered here today to install these ministers of religious science at the Center for Spiritual Living as official leaders and spiritual co-directors of this member center. Together, you created a sacred covenant that has called forth your new co-directors with your word of purpose being unity. And knowing God's promise, I am that which thou art that which I am. Your sacred covenant's vision, empowering compassion, connection, and growth, brought forth these ministers. It wasn't done by accident. There is divine action at work right here and right now. Your universal intentions for your new leaders were to be centered in spirit and grounded in principle, to awaken the wisdom within through passionate and skillful teaching, to apply spiritual principles through collaborative leadership to meet the needs of this community, to model and cultivate engagement in community service opportunities, to teach and facilitate mystical studies guiding us into a deeper knowing of the holy union within. You have demonstrated and manifested your new leadership as Reverend Michael Benson and Reverend Kathy Fernandes. An official notification has been received from the Centers for Spiritual Living in Golden, Colorado, that they both have met all of the requirements of ministerial training by the organization and that they're fully licensed and ordained religious science ministers. As spiritual co-directors of this center, Reverend Michael and Reverend Kathy shall act in the following capacities in fulfilling this ministerial office. Reverend Michael and Reverend Kathy serve as co-directors of the community and counselors to all who come to them for help to understand and acknowledge their true nature. Reverend Michael and Reverend Kathy serve as official and accredited teachers of Science of Mind classes under the authority of a center covenant with Centers for Spiritual Living, offering classes and activities that empower the community to learn and grow their spiritual understanding through spiritual practice. Every minister of religious science must first have received license and recognition as a practitioner before he or she may be licensed or ordained as a minister. Therefore, Reverend Michael and Reverend Kathy serve always as a practitioner to the needs of you, to the needs of the people in their community, to the needs of the people of the world. These ministers shall serve modeling this community the core values, which is unity, joyful community and belonging, spiritual practice, authenticity, integrity, and trust, appreciation and gratitude, spirituality, wisdom, and compassion. So I now present to the Board of Trustees and the congregation to be duly installed as official ministers, leaders, teachers, and co-directors of this center, Reverend Michael and Reverend Kathy. Please come up. That's exciting. I've lost my place. It was you. Take my breath away. Let us together reaffirm our conviction as religious scientists, as the practitioners from this center read the Declaration of Principles.
We believe in God, the living Spirit, Almighty, one, indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God.
We believe in the incarnation of the Spirit in everyone, and that all people are incarnations of the one Spirit.
We believe in the internality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding.
We believe that heaven is within us and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it.
We believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be obtained by all.
We believe in the unity of all life, and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God.
We believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence.
We believe in the direct revelation of truth through the intuitive and spiritual nature of the individual, and that any person may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God.
We believe that the universal spirit, which is God, operates through a universal mind, which is the law of God, and that we are surrounded by this creative mind which receives the direct impress of our thoughts and acts upon it.
We believe in the healing of the sick through the power of this mind.
We believe in the control of conditions through the power of this mind.
We believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of life to all.
We believe in our own soul, our own spirit, and our own destiny, for we understand that the life of all is God.
Thank you. Do you accept these principles, and do you promise to adhere to them and make them the basis of your teachings? Yes. Do you consecrate yourself in this ministry that you will do your utmost at all times to reflect the Christ within in all that you think, say, or do? Do you so dedicate yourself that you will be constantly aware of the Spirit within all people, and that you will see only the perfect spiritual person, perfect in mind, body, and spirit? Do you promise to minister? Just got to check these things out. Do you promise to minister faithfully and lovingly to the people now committed to your charge, and to seek ever to be an example of moderation, patience, and loving kindness? May the infinite Spirit who empowers you to do all these things grace you with the strength faithfully to perform the same and to live the principles of this teaching and our Centers for Spiritual Living organization. Will the Board of Trustees please come forward? We now present to you those individuals who have been duly elected to serve on your Board of Trustees. Not only do these board members oversee the business affairs of your center, but their individual and collective awareness establishes the consciousness for the entire congregation. Recognizing the authority that you have entrusted to them, we now charge them with this responsibility. Do you promise to follow the light of truth with an open mind and an open heart, seeking at all times to be collaborative and work as a team, to be aware of what is right for the center and its community rather than who is right? Do you accept and support Reverend Michael and Reverend Kathy as co-directors of this center as spiritual leaders and teachers? Will you support and communicate openly and directly with Reverend Michael and Reverend Kathy to create a collaborative and cooperative environment that works together to achieve the center's goals and business objectives? Thank you. Thank you. You may be seated. Will the practitioners of this center please come forward? Stay up here first. All right. Nice to see you all. These ministers know and understand the role of licensed practitioner to be an engaged part of this center's spiritual team, dedicated to modeling their own spiritual growth, knowing, awareness, and demonstration, supporting this center's community and its board with spiritual mind treatment, and establishing and maintaining a consciousness of the spiritual vision of this center. You practitioners also carry out most of your work in the great and powerful silence, providing spiritual mind treatment for the center and for this community. The fruits of this work are manifested as demonstration in the lives of yourselves, your clients, and your center. And they're manifested in this moment now. Do you consecrate yourself to the spiritual team, this center's community, and the center's sacred covenant and core values? Yes. Do you commit to your own spiritual practices, spiritual growth and development, and daily spiritual mind treatment for Reverend Michael and Reverend Kathy, this center and its community? Yes. Will you actively engage, communicate, and support your leaders, Reverend Michael and Reverend Kathy, so that together in unity you may all serve your spiritual community? Thank you. You may be seated. I would like to ask the members of this community to please stand. Bless you. Bless you, bless you. You are the voice of the center. You are the ambassadors of religious science in this community. You are the backbone as the volunteers giving service to each other and to your larger community. You are at the heart of this organization. You promise to uphold and to practice the principles of religious science moment by moment to the best of your ability. Yes. Do you accept and support Reverend Michael and Reverend Kathy as ministers of this center and as spiritual leaders and teachers? Yes. Do you behold together your center's core values, your sacred covenant that called forth your new co-directors with your word of purpose being unity and your acceptance of God's truth? I am that which thou art that which I am. Yes. Yes. Thank you. You may be seated. I'd like to speak to the ministers and ask you to stand, please. Well, there's some of you can stand up all night long. As colleagues, do you promise to give of your friendship, your love, and your affirmative prayers to these ministers? Yes. Thank you. You may be seated. The person who wrote this was very wise. Through the authority vested in me by the Centers for Spiritual Living organization and as the spiritual leader for Centers for Spiritual Living, as a peer of yours, as an associate, and as a friend, acting on behalf of this congregation, I hereby install you right here and now as spiritual co-directors of the Chico Center for Spiritual Living, with all of its rights, privileges, and obligations appertaining to your office. Teach, heal, minister to the people, and peace be with you. May God go with you, and may you go with God in all that you do and however you live your life. Please know that you are a model for this held sacred by us, the Centers for Spiritual Living, and by us, the congregation of Bridgeway. God bless you. Thank you.
Just want to take it all in. You know, it goes by fast, right? I just have a few words. First, I am so blessed, as the words of Karen Drucker's song. I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am grateful, I am so blessed. Blessed by you, blessed by our relationship, blessed based on what we shall create together. And that's what I'm most excited about. I feel so very humbled and yet so very honored to serve as your spiritual director. Blessed to lead, inspire, and serve you with my soul bro, Reverend Michael. And I do mean serve. I'm serving you and we are serving each other together. We serve to inspire each other and empower each other to awaken to our wisdom and power that is within each of us. And as we discover that wisdom and power within, we get to use that to change our world here and then the world around us. You're a very special community. You may not know that, but the opportunity to be at Silomar and to be at other locations, we're blessed in a lot of ways. First, to have our founding minister with us. Thank you for your love and your support. And I agree, it was always a lot of fun to be her gaggle. For those of you that don't know, Reverend Dr. Carolyn and her late husband, Dr. John McEwen, were Reverend Michael and I's spiritual teachers, and we grew up together spiritually. And 16 years ago, Dr. Carolyn gave me the opportunity to become your staff minister here. And it's just a wonderful opportunity to be here now. I still have to pinch myself. Choir, you are special to us. To lift our hearts, to open our hearts. Many of you have been in the community for a long time. You are a pillar. And I continue to respect and want to continue to create a deeper relationship because you serve me and I want to serve you. And you, the community, each of you, yes, each of you, all of you, it's no coincidence that you are here tonight. You are staff, our team leaders, our practitioners, our volunteers, our members, and our friends. Whether you've been a part of this community for a long time or whether you just discovered us, you make this place a special place by knowing who you are, expressing that unique individual who you are, and contributing to this community with your willingness to connect and explore your divine nature. You are the consciousness that makes this community what it is. You are the you in unity and the unity in community. We lift each other up in learning and living the truth of who we are, divine. I believe we can together live heaven on earth right here, right now, in this very room. Energy is moving. You know that song too. And I'm honored to be here with you. But of course I need to thank a few people. First I want to thank my very shy partner who's hiding in the crowd, Sue Cameron. Sue, thank you for your love and your support. And sacrificing your time with the San Francisco Giants to be here. We love our Giants. Thank you, Drs. Ken and Deborah Gordon, for being willing to travel from Canada to be here. It's very special for both of you to be here with us. Thank you. And to the ministers who traveled to be here with us, some of them arriving very early this morning from their trip. I'm honored and can't say enough about how much I appreciate your support in a lot of different ways, and I know I'll be calling on you. And I look forward to engaging in the Northern California awakening of humanity. If I could, a special thanks to Reverend Dr. Susie Shadle. For those of you who know her, she served as our interim minister. She would love to be here tonight, but it was a stretch from Florida. And she was instrumental in the transition, as many of you know, and did an outstanding job here, and she sends her love to all of you. Next, could I ask the board and the search committee to please stand one more time? Giving you a little exercise. Must be my ex-Catholicism. You don't have to kneel, though. I want to give a special thanks to the board and the search committee for serving your community in the way that you did, to bring Reverend Michael and I to this joyous occasion, and for your dedication. You are appreciated and you made a difference in your community. Thank you for stepping up and leading the way, and I'm honored to be leading with you. Most specifically, I would like to thank, as you've seen, President Johnny Samples and Sandy Golke, who's not here tonight, who is past president of the board. They are both practitioners, and together they carried a very heavy load during the vacancy. And Sandy ran the center's operation in the interim, which was, again, quite a load. And Sandy is on a wonderful long vacation. She even extended that vacation. That's why she's not here. And that's what she had intended to do when she retired. So make sure you give her a note of thanks. And then last and not least, thank you, Reverend Michael. My heart is deeply connected, and I look so forward to this journey together. Love you. So it is.
So it is. I have lived my entire Science of Mind life using one statement over and over and over again. It's a reminder to me that love points the way. Love points the way, and the law makes the way possible. And over the years, I've had to come back to that because I've gotten off track a bit, as we humans do. But thanks to Dr. Carolyn, who is a wordsmith, and St. Emerson, you know, she allowed me to play with words. And so I changed that statement for myself. Because we teach here, personalize the process for yourself. Make it your own. Use your words. What makes it resonate? What is a better recognition word for you if the word God doesn't work? So I play with statements and words and phrases and make them work for me. So I changed and adjusted for me the love points the way. It also, love draws the way. And for me, it was a draw here. It was a statement that said to me, rather than go there, do this, it was a come here. Here I am. And so, in that realm of saying, love draws the way, along the way, it redirects the way. It adjusts the way when we add love back into the process. And so through this whole process of unity, it has caused me to love myself more deeply and to see it in all of the people who I've reconnected with from my early pup stages in this teaching. So, here I am, in love with you, and here you are, in love with you. Because there's only one. There's only one. And I would like to share with you at this time, I've shared it before, but it's my purpose statement. And it ties in perfectly with the words that have been spoken in the covenant and all of that for here. And this is my statement of purpose. It's why I live. It's why I'm here. I'm here to serve humanity as a joy-filled voice of love and compassion, to embrace the spontaneous nature of spirit, thereby celebrating the abundant life. Here we are, celebrating the abundant life. I'm so honored and humbled and very emotional tonight to be part of my family in this way. So, thank you. I love you all. Thank you for all of you for being here tonight. You're very dear to me and always will be.